Hello and welcome back everyone, we Weeb Online, and today I'm gonna continue the story What if Naruto and Sasuke took over the Elemental Nation Part 2. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
Hey, Sasuke, Naruto said as he stood over Kakashi, who was sleeping in Tizuna's house on a futon. Should I worry that you'll turn out like that if you keep using the Sharingan for a long time?
I know what you're trying to do, Sasuke said as he took off his sandals. His arms were crossed. It won't work, he said.
What am I trying to do then? You're trying to get me angry. You've already shown that you know the only reason the Sharingan drained Sensei like that was because his body and chakra system are not built for the Sharingan, so you already know you don't have to worry about something like that, idiot.
Huh, Naruto said as he put his hand to his ear and blinked. Sorry, I couldn't hear you over this Mokudan ninjutsu that can't be copied. Naruto knew that Sasuke could annoy him by calling him stupid, and Sasuke knew that Naruto could annoy him by saying that he couldn't copy Naruto's bloodline jutsu. People who knew them weren't surprised when they suddenly got into a staring match in which they tried to hurt each other with only their eyes.
Hinata asked, by the way, Kakashi-sensei, who was that masked ninja? She was trying to get Naruto and Sasuke to stop talking about each other and focus on what was going on. That's the mask worn by the Kirigakure Special Hunter Nin Squad, Kakashi said, unable to move at all. They are also called body erasers, and their job is to completely get rid of the body without leaving a trace. A ninja's body contains important information about the village's ninjutsu, such as information on chakra types, herbs, and other things. For example, if I died, the secrets of the Sharingan could be revealed. If you're not careful, the enemy could steal your jutsu. Naruto said, with a low whistle, what a crappy way to end.
I need to get some sleep, Kakashi said suddenly. The longer I stay in bed, the faster I'll get better. Alright, I'll keep my senses up, Naruto said, molding chakra. Sasuke sighed and put his hands behind his head as he lay back on the floor, muttering, I have a feeling that the next week will be boring. When Naruto turned around, he saw that Hinata had moved away from Kakashi and was now sitting with her back to the wall. Naruto walked over to her and sat down next to her, staring at her with a raised eyebrow.
Hey, are you alright? Hinata jumped and turned her wide-eyed head toward Naruto. She was probably thinking about herself so much that she didn't even see him. Hinata mumbled, why yes, I'm fine, and then turned her head to look at the floor.
Even a blind man could tell you're upset, Naruto told him. We're supposed to depend on each other now that we're teammates. What's wrong?
Hinata was quiet for a while. She was probably thinking about whether or not to tell Naruto. She sighed and said, I'm not sure if I belong on this team.
Naruto asked, tilting his head to the side, and what brought this on? I'm not very strong. Naruto-kun, I'm weak, and you, Sasuke-kun, and Kakashi-sensei, you're all so strong and I'm not. Naruto hummed while he looked at Hinata, who seemed upset. After a few seconds of silence, he asked, and? This made Hinata blink twice in surprise. What?
And so what? Naruto said, shrugging. Do you think Sasuke and I were born this strong? No, of course not. Training is the key. If you feel weak, all you have to do is get stronger. But, Naruto-kun, it's not that easy. You make it sound so simple.
It's only hard if you make it hard, Naruto said simply as he stood up. I'll tell you what, come train with Sasuke and me tomorrow, and we'll make you strong. Hinata couldn't help but feel afraid when she heard that for some reason. Something about the way Naruto's eyes sparkled had been very dangerous. Kakashi had just gone to sleep when he suddenly sat up in his futon, covered his face with his hand, and looked like he was deep in thought. When Naruto sat down next to Sasuke, who was looking at their sensei with interest, he asked, what's wrong, sensei?
When Kakashi looked up at his genin, he said, huh. Oh well, body erasing teams usually get rid of the dead person right where they killed them. But that Hunter Nin took the body away, Naruto muttered as he made the connection. Yeah, he could have just taken the head if he needed proof of his work, Kakashi said, stroking his chin. And the weapon he used to kill Zabuza was. Sasuke's eyes got very big. No way, yeah, exactly, Kakashi said, nodding. Tizuna asked, what are you guys talking about? Most likely Zabuza is still alive, Kakashi said, making Tazuna and Hinata look shocked. Sasuke scratched his head and said, those Senbon, it's possible that he just put Zabuza into a momentary state of death. Yes, he did. First, he took the much heavier Zabuza's body with him. Second, he used a weapon that has a low chance of killing, Kakashi said with a sigh. These two things show that his goal wasn't to kill Zabuza, but to save him. This is a possibility we can't ignore.
Tazuna asked nervously, aren't you thinking too much? The job of Hunter Nin is to kill missing Nin. If he was even a Hunter Nin at all, Naruto said with his arms crossed. But even if it's not true, it could be, so it's better to be safe than sorry.
Right, so let's get ready before it's too late. Even if Zabuza is dead, there's no guarantee that Gato hasn't hired a ninja who is even stronger. Naruto, Sasuke. When Kakashi spoke to them, they stood up straight and gave him their full attention.
You two are very strong and getting stronger every day. Hinata has a lot of potential that hasn't been used yet. Can I trust you two to use it while I'm healing? Hey, I'm way ahead of you, sensei. Naruto said with a smile and a thumbs up. Hehe, this is getting funny. That's not fun, said a new voice as a child who looked like he or she was about 8 years old came into the house. Oh, Inari, Tazuna said with delight. What were you doing? The boy, Inari, said, welcome back, Grandpa, as he walked up to Tazuna and gave him a hug.
Inari, Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter, said, say hello to these people. They are ninja who protected Grandpa.
Inari turned his head for a long time to look at Kakashi and his genin. Then he turned to his mother and pointed to the ninja.
Mom, they're going to die, he said. What was that? Naruto yelled. There's no way you can win against Gato, Inari said firmly.
Words like that should be said after the battle is over, Sasuke said, giving Inari a light glare. If you don't, you'll look like an idiot later.
Listen, Sasuke and I can't lose to a guy like Gato, Naruto said, putting his arm around Sasuke's shoulder. One day we'll be heroes. We're not going to die fighting like a fool like him. Hey, you fool, let go. What are you, stupid? Inari asked Naruto as he stared at him with a cold look. There are no heroes, they said.
Naruto stopped moving for a moment, and his eyes got cold. Then he said, Sasuke, hold me back.
As told, Sasuke grabbed Naruto from behind as the blonde was about to attack Inari. What, you little. If you don't want to die, you should leave, Inari muttered as he turned around and walked away.
Tazuna asked, where are you going, Inari? To look out at the ocean from my room. With that, Inari left, and Naruto stared at the closed door for about 5 minutes before he turned away.
The next day, Naruto stood with Sasuke and Hinata in a clearing in the woods near Tazuna's house. He said, alright, I hope you've had a good night's sleep, Hinata, because you're going to need your energy. First, we're going to work on improving your speed and strength. Hinata asked nervously, how are we going to do that? As Naruto walked up to her. First, Team 7 stood in the academy and looked at what was going on in front of them. A big group of genin were standing in front of the door to classroom 301, which was being blocked by 2 genin who looked arrogant and were beating up a group of people who were trying to get in. Naruto, Sasuke said, giving his friend a push. His friend nodded.
Yeah, this whole hallway is full of chakra. It must be a genjutsu. Well, even if you hadn't noticed it, people should have noticed that we're only on the 2nd floor, Hinata said in a soft voice that was much louder than Naruto and Sasuke were used to hearing. Let's just sneak by quietly, said Sasuke as he started to walk. This is probably meant to get rid of the weak people. They got to the 3rd floor and were walking to room 301 when they heard a voice from the ceiling.
Hey, you, the one with dark eyes. They all looked up at the catwalk and saw a kid in a very tight green jumpsuit and orange leg warmers. His black hair was cut in a bowl shape, and his eyebrows were so thick that it was hard to believe. He had a very serious look on his face as he looked down at them. Sasuke was bored and asked, what is it? The kid asked, will you fight me right here?
Sasuke asked, a fight right now? The kid said yes, jumped down to their level, and landed in a crouch.
I'm Rock Lee, and you're Uchiha Sasuke, he said.
Hey, so you know? Sasuke asked with a raised eyebrow. I want a fight with you, Rock Lee told him. I want to see how well my skills work against the Genius Ninja Clan's kids.
You're giving me a challenge by knowing the Uchiha name, Sasuke said, narrowing his eyes just a little. You're a fool, thick brows. You're about to find out what this name means. Please, Rock Lee said, putting one hand in a "come on" gesture and the other hand behind his back. I'll tell you this. You can't beat me, because I'm the strongest Konoha genin right now. Sounds like fun, I'll do it, Sasuke said with a smirk. Sasuke-kun, you really shouldn't, Hinata said, pointing to the clock on the wall. We have only 30 minutes to get to the meeting. Don't worry, I'll be done in 5 minutes, Sasuke said in a simple way.
Naruto said, Hey, don't kill a fellow Konoha ninja. Lee raised an eyebrow and asked, Kill? Well, I've known for a long time not to think too little of any opponent, Sasuke said as he reached behind his back and grabbed his Chikudo. I won't use ninjutsu because I don't want to destroy the academy, but you thick brows won't get off easy. Before Sasuke could pull his sword out of its scabbard, Lee hit him with a spin kick, making him duck. Lee didn't give up, though. Instead, he turned 360 degrees and squatted down to aim another kick at Sasuke's ducking form with amazing speed. He's quick. Sasuke thought this as he jumped over the kick, turned in the air, and brought his heel down on Lee. Lee pushed off the ground and jumped out of the way. That was fast, Sasuke said as he stood up. You should be proud of yourself, he said, his irises turning red and two tomo appearing in each eye. Sasuke came at Lee full of confidence, but Lee dodged and kicked Sasuke into the air without even trying. This showed that Lee had been hiding his true speed the whole time, which made Sasuke grit his teeth as he flew through the air. Shit. What the hell did I just say? I don't underestimate my opponents. You just did, you idiot. In his mind, Sasuke barked at himself.
My techniques are neither ninjutsu nor genjutsu, Lee said as he disappeared and reappeared in the air behind Sasuke in a shadow dance, Kage Buyo. Yes, my techniques are simple taijutsu, Sasuke-kun. You may not believe it because it is so basic, but they say that the Sharingan has the ability to reveal all types of nin, general, and taijutsu. It is true that by reading ninjutsu and genjutsu which need chakra to be raised and seals to be formed, you get an advantage through the Sharingan. But taijutsu is a little different.
What do you mean? Even if you can see my movements, your body is too slow to react to my taijutsu. In other words, it doesn't matter if you can see it if your body can't move. As Lee's hands flew through the air, the bandages on them came off. Naruto's eyes went right to Lee's hands as the boy kept talking to Sasuke about how geniuses are different from hard workers. Lee's hands were full of cuts and bruises, which showed he had been training hard for a long time. Naruto knew because that's how his own hands used to look.
Suddenly, a pinwheel flew through the air and stuck the bandages to the wall. This stopped Lee in midair and made him fall to the ground, landing in a crouch, while Sasuke flipped and also landed in a crouch.
That's far enough, Lee, shouted a ninja turtle who had just appeared and thrown the pinwheel.
Lee, who was on his knees, said to the turtle, So, you were watching.
Lee, you're not allowed to do that. I'm sorry Lee started to say, but the turtle gave him a scary look. But I wasn't going to use the other one.
Fool, said the turtle, making Lee jump again. You think that's a good enough reason to get away with it? You already know what it means for a ninja to talk about his special skills. Yes. Are you willing to pay for it? Yes.
Then Guy-sensei is here. On the turtle's back, a cloud of smoke blew up, and when it cleared, an adult version of Rock Lee stood in a silly pose while wearing a Junin vest. You guys are the definition of adolescence. The man yelled. His appearance scared everyone on Team 7. He said, Lee, and waved for Lee to come closer. When he did, he got a punch in the face that knocked him down. You fool.
The man got down on one knee and looked sad as he looked at Lee.
You are. Sensei I. The man yelled. That's enough, Lee. And hugged Lee. There's no need to say that.
Sensei. Yes, this is what it means to be young. Sensei. Sasuke said to Naruto, who had his arms crossed, What the hell are these freaks? I don't know. It's creepy as hell, though, Naruto said as he looked disgustedly at the two ninjas in spandex. When Guy heard what Naruto said, he looked over at them, which made all three of them jump. Hey, what's up with Kakashi-sensei? You know Kakashi? Sasuke asked, surprised.
Guy asked with a laugh, Know him? Then, in the blink of an eye, he was gone and back behind the three of them. People say we're eternal rivals. 50 wins, 49 losses. I'm stronger than Kakashi. Sorry about Lee. I promise to this beautiful face it won't happen again. You guys should go to the classroom, he said as he threw a kunai at the pinwheel, loosening the bandages so Lee could put them back on. Good luck, Lee. See you later. Guy then went away, and Lee gave a salute. Sasuke-kun, Lee said, looking to Sasuke. I'll say one more thing. The truth is that I came here to test my skills. I lied before. Most likely, the strongest Konoha genin is on my team. I entered this to beat him and you're also one of my targets. Be ready during the exam. He shouted, jumping up on the catwalk again. Naruto said with a sigh of relief, you're very lucky no one was here to see that. Especially after all that bragging about how you never underrate an opponent. Shut up, Sasuke said as he crossed his arms and turned off his Sharingan. He spoke so damn boldly that I thought he was going for broke right away. I was wrong, okay.
Naruto asked. Do you see his hands? Hinata blinked, and Sasuke nodded. Hinata was curious and asked, his hands? They were covered in bruises and stitches, Sasuke told her. That guy has probably been training non-stop for days on end, Naruto added with a low, impressed whistle. This exam seems to have some really strong candidates, huh? Hey, sounds like fun, Sasuke said, smirking at his teammates as he turned around. Let's go, Naruto, Hinata.
Yeah, yes. When they got to the door to room 301, Kakashi was standing there with his hands in his pockets. Oh, good, all three of you came, he said, looking from one genin to the next. Now we can take the test the right way. What do you mean, sensei? Hinata asked, blinking.
The truth is that only groups of 3 can take this test. But you said it was voluntary, Naruto said. You lied?
If I had told you the truth, one of you might have felt pressured to take the test, Kakashi said. This way, I could make sure that only those of you who really felt ready to take the exam would come. If only 1 or 2 of you had come, the exam would have ended right here for you, he said with a big smile. I'm proud of you guys, so go.
When the team went into the classroom, they saw that it was full of genin. As they walked in, everyone turned to look at them. Naruto asked, is it just me, or does anyone else feel like we're being watched? Suddenly, Yamanaka Ino, who was blonde and everyone knew, flew straight at Sasuke and hugged him from behind.
Sasuke-kun, you're late, she said happily, blushing just from touching Sasuke and putting on an extra seductive smile. It's been a while since I've seen you, so I've been eagerly waiting. Now, Sasuke knew exactly what to do when a fangirl tried to get close to him. So, he wrinkled his brow, looked over his shoulder at Ino, and muttered, who are you? As expected, Ino's jaw dropped, her eyes got bigger, and her grip on him loosened, letting him walk over to Naruto and Hinata, who shook their heads.
What's this? You guys are taking this stupid test, too? Asked Shikamaru as he walked up with his best friend, Akamichi Choji. Naruto said with a laugh, hey, I wouldn't have thought you had the energy to take this exam, Shikamaru, as Shikamaru sighed.
It's a problem, but we had no choice because Ino threatened our lives.
Yahoo found you, shouted Kiba, who was coming over with Shino and Sakura. Sasuke-kun. Sakura said happily upon seeing Sasuke, who just looked away from her. Well, it looks like everyone is here. Geez, you guys too? Shikamaru asked.
Kiba hummed, I see that all 9 of this year's new genin are taking the test. I wonder how far we will get. Hey, Sasuke, Naruto. You seem confident, Kiba, Sasuke said with a laugh.
We trained a lot, and you won't beat us, Kiba said with confidence.
Hey, guys, you should be quieter, a new voice said, and they all turned to see a teenage girl with glasses and gray hair in a ponytail coming toward them. He wore a Konoha Hittite and couldn't have been more than 17 years old. You guys just got out of the academy, right? You're screaming like schoolgirls, man. This isn't a picnic. Sasuke asked, and who are you? I don't like this guy, Naruto said in a low voice.
My name is Kabuto, but don't look at me. Instead, look behind you. Everyone did this, and then they saw a group of Omegakure genin staring at them with angry looks. Those guys behind you are from Omegakure no Sado. They have short tempers, Kabuto said with a smile. Everyone is nervous about the test, so don't make a scene. Well, I can't blame you. You're newbies who don't know what they're doing. You remind me of myself when I was your age. Kabuto-san, right? Sakura asked. Yeah. So, is this your second time? Nope. This is my 7th time, Kabuto said, still smiling. Since this test is given twice a year, this is my 4th time taking it.
Wow, you know a lot about this test, don't you? That's right, Kabuto said, nodding as he took a deck of cards out of his pocket. How about I give you cute newbies some information with these ninja info cards? Ninja information cards. They are basically cards that have information burned into them with chakra, Kabuto said as he put the deck on the floor. I have information from the last 4 years on these more than 200 cards. He took one of the cards and turned it over to show that it was completely blank. They look blank, but you have to use my chakra to get to the information on these cards. For example, Kabuto made a half-ram seal with one hand while pressing a finger against the card on the floor with the other. When the puff of smoke cleared, there was a map of the elemental countries with a bunch of numbers on it. Wow, that's a really easy to read graph, said Sakura. What kind of information is this? This is the number of people who are taking the test and how many are from each country, Kabuto said. Sasuke suddenly asked, do you have cards with information about people? This made Kabuto laugh. Are there some guys you're worried about? Of course. I have information on everyone taking this exam, even you. Tell me something about these guys, and I'll look into it. Gaara and Rock Lee from Sunagaku no Sato and Konohagakure no Sato. Oh, you know their names. Then it should be easy, Kabuto said as he took 3 cards from the deck and held them up. Show me, told Sasuke. Okay. First is Rock Lee. He's a year older than you guys. His mission history is 20 D ranks and 12 C ranks. His sensei is Maida Guy. His taijutsu has improved a lot this year. The rest is nothing special. Last year, he was known as a talented new genin, but he didn't take the exam. Like you guys, this is his first time. On his team are Hyuga Neji and Tenten. Next is Sabaku no Gaara. He has completed 8 C rank missions and 1 B rank mission. Wow, a B rank mission is a genin. I don't know much about him because he's a newcomer from a different country, but it seems he came back from all of his missions without even a scratch.
Alright, I'll bite, Kiba said. He said, show me these 3, pointing to Team 7. Getting worried, Kiba. Naruto asked with a small smile as Kabuto took 3 cards from the deck.
Okay. Team 7 of Konohagakure no Sato's rookies. Mission history. 12 D rank, and 1 B rank mission completed. Wow. A B rank here as well. All 3 of them have amazing stats, but Uchiha Sasuke is by far the speed demon, and Uzumaki Naruto is the powerhouse, with great strength, and a stamina that is off the charts. Hyuga Hinata is the weakest, but when everyone heard this, they looked at Team 7 in a different way. Hinata was looking intently at a spot on the wall, trying not to notice that Sasuke and Naruto were also looking at her. Genin from Konoha, Suna, Aim, Kusa, Taki, and Oto are here to take the exam. Oto is a small village that was just founded last year, so we don't know much about them, but the rest of the hidden villages are full of talented kids, Kabuto said, making Sakura's forehead sweat. So, in general, everyone here is. Yup, Kabuto said with a smirk. They are the best people from each country, like Lee, Gaara, Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata.
Naruto's trained eyes saw movement in the crowd. He saw a ninja with an auto headband fly through the air and drop 2 kunai in front of Kabuto, making him jump back just in time for another auto ninja, this one with a bandaged head, to appear in front of him and swing at him. Kabuto dodged and smirked, but then his glasses broke, and he fell to his knees and threw up.
The Oto team, which now included a young woman, stood in front of Kabuto and looked like they were ready to kill. Poor, said the bandaged ninja, aren't you supposed to have been in the army for 4 years? Write this down on your cards, said the spiky-haired ninja whose shirt had the 3 kanji for death. The 3 Otogakure ninjas are sure to become Chunin in the future. At the front of the class, smoke blew up, and a voice could be heard. Hush, you worthless jerks. What's going on? When the smoke cleared, there were a lot of ninjas there. A man in a black coat and a bandana on his head stood at the front. 2 long scars ran across his face, making him look like a real war veteran. "Thank you for waiting," the man with scars said with a smirk. "I'm Morino Ibiki, the first test for the Chunin selection exam," he said, pointing at the Oto ninjas. "Otogakur, stop doing whatever you want before the test. Do you already want to fail?" "I'm sorry. This is our first time. We got a little carried away," the bandaged ninja said, but everyone could tell from the tone of his voice that he wasn't even close to being sorry. Ibiki laughed. "Now is a good time to say that you can't fight without the examiner's permission, and even if you get permission, you can't kill your opponent. Pigs who don't do what I say will fail right away. Does that make sense?" No one answered. Instead, everyone was just looking at Ibiki, who looked around. Ibiki held up a piece of wood with a number on it and said, "Now we'll start the first part of the Chunin exam. Instead of where you're sitting now, pick one of these tabs and sit in the seat it says. Then we'll give out the tests." Naruto said to Sasuke, "A paper test?" Sasuke smiled. Naruto never liked paper tests very much. The genin did what they were told, and Naruto and Hinata sat near the front. "Naruto-kun," Hinata said, smiling at him. "Let's do our best." "As always," Naruto said with a small smile. Ibiki held up a piece of chalk and said, "Do not turn your tests over. Pay close attention," he said, and then he started writing on the blackboard. "There are a lot of important rules for this first test. I'll write them on the board as I talk, but you can't ask questions, so pay attention. The first rule is that everyone will start with 10 points. The test has 10 questions, and each one is worth 1 point. However, this test uses a subtraction system. If you get all 10 questions right, you keep your 10 points, but if you miss 3 questions, you lose 3 points." Sakura yelled, "Wait a second. I don't understand this initial points system either, but why is this a team test?" "Shut up. You don't have the right to question me. There's a reason for this. Be quiet and listen," Ibiki said, narrowing his eyes. "Okay. And the most important rule is the third one. During the exam, if the testing officers catch you doing sneaky things, like cheating, you will lose 2 points for each offense," he said with a smirk that made him look very bad. "Realize that the pathetic ones who get caught cheating will destroy themselves. As shinobi trying to reach the level of Chunin, be proud ninjas." That got Naruto's attention. He didn't give it much thought, but there was something odd about what he said. Ibiki's last rule shocked the genin. Those who lose all their initial points during the test or don't answer any questions correctly will fail, along with their 2 teammates. The test will take an hour. Start. Naruto turned his test over and cocked his head. No one knew how to answer these questions. Most likely, only someone with a lot of brains could answer those questions without much trouble. Like Sasuke, or Hinata, or Sakura. Naruto knew a lot about being a ninja and could do most of the things asked of him, but he couldn't exactly figure out, with numbers, how hard and at what angle he'd have to throw a kunai to hit an opponent 300 feet away. All of that was just a gut feeling. He had a smirk on his face. He looked over and saw someone filling out his test quickly. He waited until the guy was done, then put his pen down on the desk and smiled proudly. Naruto's grin got even bigger. He thought, it's time to pass the test and get rid of some competition in the process. A smoke bomb rolled out of his sleeve and exploded when it hit the ground. There was so much smoke that you couldn't see more than 3 inches in front of you. When no one could see their tests, there were angry roars all over the classroom. When the windows were opened to let the smoke out, more angry shouts could be heard. Naruto was taking his test and laughing to himself as he did it. Several people in the room lost their test all at once.
Ibiki put up his hand for silence because he was so amazed. Everyone who failed their test might as well leave. Both you and your team failed.
People who had failed their tests were pushed out of the room with their teams as they yelled and screamed. Ibiki looked around the room and locked eyes with Uzumaki Naruto, who was wearing a shirt and hapuri that looked a lot like Nadime's. When he saw that Naruto had already finished his test, a slow smile began to form on his face. 45 minutes later, Ibiki looked at the wall clock and gave himself a nod. Okay. Now we're going to start the 10th question. Before we do, I'd like to go over the extra rules for this question.
When the door opened and Konkuro, the puppeteer from Suna, who had just been to the bathroom, walked in, the genin were shocked.
Hey, nice timing. Ibiki said, smirking. Was playing with your doll helpful?
The puppeteer jerked, shocked that he had been caught.
Ibiki said, just sit down, and the puppet user did as he was told. Now I'll explain. These are the rules of desperation. First, for this 10th question, you have to decide if you want to take it or not. Choose, yelled Tamari from Suna. What will happen if we don't?
Ibiki chuckled darkly. If you don't, your points will go down to 0, and you and your 2 teammates will fail.
Ibiki stopped everyone who was shouting about how of course they were going to take it.
And now the other rule, he said, putting an end to the conversation. If you take it and give the wrong answer, you will never be able to take the Chunin selection exam again.
Kiba yelled, what kind of stupid rule is that? There are guys here who have taken this exam before. Ibiki laughed again in a dark way, but this time it was the kind of laugh you'd make in front of someone when you were having a lot of fun ripping their guts out. You guys had bad luck. This year, it's my rules. But I'll give you a way out. Those who aren't sure can choose not to take it and try again next year, he said, smirking at them all. Let's move on to the 10th question. If you don't want to answer it, raise your hand. Once your number is called, you can leave. Naruto closed his eyes and said to himself, I can do this. I can't possibly lose. I refuse to lose. One day, I'll become Hokage. I have to keep going, he thought as he turned his head and looked at Sasuke, whose face was set. Next, he looked at Hinata, who was nervous and also looking at him. He gave her a thumbs up while grinning, which seemed to make her feel better. Several genin quit, and so did the rest of their teams. Ibiki spoke up when it looked like no one else was going to stop. Alright, does anyone else want to quit? No one spoke up. Well, the 57 of you who are still here, congrats on passing the first test. Everyone stopped and looked at him in shock. Wait, what do you mean? Sakura asked as she wiped the sweat off her forehead. We already passed, so what's the 10th question?
Ibiki smiled in a friendly way, which was odd because nothing else about him was friendly.
There was never anything like that, or you could say that the 10th question was those 2 choices. Tamari yelled, hey, then what were the first 9 questions for? Then they had no point. Ibiki laughed and said, they weren't for nothing. They had already done what they were supposed to do, he said in a serious tone. That's the point. To see how well you can gather information on your own. Naruto was happy. He did well on the test. Ibiki told the genins as he looked them over. First, the rules say that the team as a whole needs to do well on this test. This puts pressure on each member not to mess things up for their teammates. But the questions on this test were not ones that a genin could answer. Because of that, I'm sure most people figured out that you had to cheat to get points. In fact, the whole point of this test is to cheat. To help you guys out, we had a few Chunin who knew all the answers hiding in the crowd. Piece of cake, Naruto said with a smirk. Ibiki laughed and began to take off his bandana. But those who cheat badly fail, he said, taking off the bandana, which made many of the genin jump back in fear. His head was full of terrible scars, burns, and screw holes. Because sometimes information is more important than life, and people risk their lives on missions in the battlefield to get it.
Naruto cocked his head. He thought, this guy's been through a lot, and his respect for the man grew. A real veteran.
If the enemy or a third party sees you, there's no guarantee they'll tell the truth, Ibiki said as he put on his bandana again. I want you to remember this. Important information in your hands can be a powerful weapon for your friends in the village. That's why we made you cheat to get information, which made it clear who didn't have the right skills. But I don't understand the final question, Tamari said, which made Ibiki smile. But question 10 is the real point of this test. Let me explain. The 10th question, the take it or not take it decision. Obviously, these were hard choices. Those who choose not to take it fail along with their teammates. Those who choose to take it could lose the chance to ever take the test again. A real leap of faith. Naruto gave himself a nod. It was a great way to get rid of people who couldn't handle the stress.
How about these 2 options? Let's say you guys become Chunin.
Your mission is to steal a secret document. You don't know how many ninjas there are, what their skills are, etc. And there could be traps everywhere. Do you accept or refuse? Ibiki asked, getting serious again. Naruto was getting more and more angry. Was this guy schizophrenic? Because you don't want to die because you don't want your friends to get hurt, can you avoid the dangerous mission? The answer is no. No matter how dangerous it is, there are some missions you can't avoid. The ability to be brave and survive any hardship, this is what it takes to become a Chunin captain. Those who can't put their fates on the line, who cling to the uncertain future of, there's always next year, and then walk. Ibiki looked up and saw something. He stepped back just in time to see a ball of cloth fly through the window. 2 kunai flew out of the cloth bundle and stuck to the ceiling. This unrolled the cloth, revealing a woman with purple hair and a tan trench coat. The words, "Second Exam Proctor Mitarashi Anko," were written on the cloth. "You guys, this is not the time to party." The woman, whose name was obviously Mitarashi Anko, yelled. "I'm the examiner for the second test, Mitarashi Anko. The hard part starts here. Are you ready?" She shouted and pumped her fist in the air. From behind the cloth, Ibiki came out. "Get a feel for the place." Anko got red in the face, but she looked around and raised an eyebrow. She then looked at Ibiki. 57. Ibiki, you only left 19 teams. This time's test was too easy. Ibiki shrugged. He said, "This time, there are a lot of great ones," which made Anko laugh. "Bah, that's fine. I'll at least cut them in half in the second test," she said, making the genin sweat. Then, when they saw her shiver and smile, they almost went crazy. "Oh, I'm getting excited. I'll explain everything after we switch places. Come with me."
The genin were in front of a huge forest that had a big fence around it.
"Welcome to the second test stage, Training Area 44, also known as the Forest of Death," Anko said with a smirk. "Looks kind of intimidating, doesn't it?" Hinata quietly asked her teammates, but Anko just kept grinning. "You'll find out soon why it has that name. Like that's going to scare us." Naruto laughed. "You're brave," Anko told him with a smile. A kunai was in her hand faster than most genin could react, and Naruto only had time to see the glint of steel before his hand flew up on its own and caught the kunai. He spun around and put it at Anko's throat as she came into view behind him, looking even happier when she saw that Sasuke had already taken out his chikudo and put it against the back of her neck.
"Whoa, you guys are quick. I guess you're not all talk after all," she said with a grin, looking from Sasuke to Naruto. Sasuke laughed and put his chikudo back in its scabbard. Naruto gave the kunai back to Anko, who smiled.
Anko smiled as she walked to the front of the genin. "Well, it looks like we have a chance in this test," she said. "This should be fun." She reached into her coat and pulled out a stack of papers. "Now, before we start the second test, there's something I need to give you. You have to sign these forms." "For what?" Naruto asked as he took the stack of papers she gave him. He took one and gave the rest to Sasuke, who did the same for Hinata.
"This one will have deaths. If I don't get you to sign these, it will all be my fault," Anko said with a laugh. "Let me tell you about the second test. After that, you can sign it, and each team will then check in at that booth behind me." Anko pointed to a booth near the fence where 3 chunins who looked bored and wanted to be somewhere else were sitting. "Now I'll talk about the second test. Simply put, you will try to survive the worst." Shikamaru sighed. "Survival this test is terrible. First, I'll talk about the area where it will happen," Anko said, unfolding a scroll with a map of the forest. "There are 44 locked gates around the Forest of Death. There is a river, a forest, and a tower in the middle. About 10 kilometers separate the gates from the tower. You will be asked to do a certain task during the survival in here. You will compete in a with your many weapons and jutsu. No rules scroll battle." "Scroll?" Naruto asked, his eyebrow raised. Anko nodded and held up 2 scrolls. "Yes," she said, "you will fight over these 2 scrolls, heaven and earth. There are 57 people here, which means there are 19 teams. The heaven scroll will go to 10 of you, and the earth scroll will go to the other 9. For this test, your team must get both scrolls to the tower." Shikamaru muttered. "So, 9 teams will lose their scrolls. At least half of the teams will fail. But there's a time limit," continued Anko. "This second test will last 120 hours. 5 days, to the day." 5 days, Ino said with wide eyes. "What about dinner?" Choji yelled out in shock. "It's up to you. There is food in the forest. Just watch out for man-eating animals,"
poisonous insects, poisonous plants, etc. Anko said with a cruel smile. It's unlikely that 9 teams will pass. As the days go by, the goal will be farther away, and there will be less time to rest. And there are a lot of enemies in the area. You won't get much sleep. So, not only will some fail because they lose the scroll, but some will also die because the course is so hard. Now, I'll tell you what will disqualify you, she said, holding up her hand. First, those who don't reach the tower with both scrolls within the time limit. Second, those who lose a teammate or have a teammate killed. Most of the time, you can't quit in the middle. You could spend less than 5 days in the forest, depending on how soon you reach the tower. And one more rule: you must wait until you reach the tower to look inside the scroll. What if you do that? Sasuke asked out of curiosity. Anko gave him a sly smile. Anyone who does that will be surprised. A chunin will be asked to deal with information that is secret. This is to see how honest you are. The explanations are done. Exchange the 3 forms for your scroll, then pick a gate to get ready for the start, Anko said with a smile. One last piece of advice: don't die. Well, no s******, Naruto said as the chunin in the booth put a curtain over it. It's about time to exchange for the scrolls, one of them said. It's impossible to know which team gets which scroll. I don't know what it is, or who on the team is carrying it, Sasuke said to his teammates as he looked at the covered booth. Yes, everybody is a foe, Hinata muttered nervously. Everyone's set. Naruto put his hand on Hinata's shoulder and smiled at her. Hinata, it'll be okay. We're strong, remember. Also, no one will be able to sneak up on us with your eyes and my senses. We'll always come out on top. Naruto and his team went to the booth, got a heaven scroll, and then left, ready to go through gate 12, where an instructor was waiting to open it. The second test starts right now. Came over the loudspeakers all of a sudden. The instructor opened the gate and let them in, and they ran inside. After running for a few minutes, Team 7 stopped when they heard a scream. It sounded like at least 3 people were in a lot of pain. One team down, Sasuke muttered, narrowing his eyes. One scroll lost, Naruto. Don't waste even a nanosecond of your time, okay? We all have to be on the lookout for this all the time. Naruto put his hands in his pockets and said, I started shaping chakra before we even went through the gate. You don't have to tell me how important this is. Everyone in this forest is known to me. Who's the nearest? There is a team about half a click to the northwest. They're the closest, but I wouldn't go for them, Naruto said as he looked into the woods with narrowed eyes. What are you saying? Well, I mean that one person on that team has a lot of chakra. Near my own level, in fact. Tech, is it because Gaara is a nut? No. This chakra is even more dangerous than Gaara's, if that's even possible. Naruto looked around and said, this guy is definitely a freak. He then added, I don't feel anyone else around, so this is probably a good time to sit down and plan. This caught the attention of Sasuke and Hinata right away, because Naruto was always willing to use the plans Sasuke came up with, but he was never the one to suggest it. So, they sat down right away, following Naruto's lead. Naruto looked at Hinata and whispered, well, I think I've got him pretty sure of himself now. Byakugan. My 5 o'clock, 35 meters. Hinata turned on her Byakugan, which she could now do without hand seals, and used it to check the spot Naruto had shown her. She saw the ninja who was following them sitting on a tree branch there. Hinata said softly, a Megakure ninja. I don't see any weapons on him, so it's safe to say he's good at either ninjutsu or genjutsu. Is he alone? Sasuke asked, and Naruto and Hinata both nodded. I think he's waiting for a chance to kill us one by one, Hinata said. He is waiting until we are far enough apart to attack. We should try to get him to come here. Well, you're the leader of the team, aren't you? Make some damn plans. I have to go to the bathroom, Naruto said loudly, as if he had just been in a completely different conversation. He scratched the back of his head and stood up. I'll be back in a minute. Naruto went to hide behind a tree, where he pretended to unzip his pants while leaning back against the tree. His senses were on high alert, so he could easily tell when the AIM ninja moved toward him and jumped at the blonde, who just smiled. He said softly, gotcha, and looked up at the clearly surprised AIM ninja just as a wooden pole shot out of the tree, wrapped around him, and pulled him down, slamming his head hard into the tree and knocking him out. Naruto focused his chakra into the tree, and more wood came shooting out of it, wrapping around the unconscious AIM ninja so tightly that it would have been impossible for him to get out. Well, that's one enemy down, he said happily. Was he carrying a scroll? Hinata asked. Each of these teams has 3 people, but only one attacker. I don't think they'd let the attacker handle the scroll, Sasuke said, shaking his head. Let's keep going. The 3 of them started running, but after an hour, Naruto suddenly told them to stop. Let's talk, he said, and he sat down. The others looked at him funny, but they did the same. Naruto sighed. That freak is here, he said quietly, making sure the freak with the huge chakra wouldn't hear him. Then, he spoke again, but louder this time. Alright, we need a plan. If we get separated, don't trust anyone who shows up, even if it's one of us. What do we do then? Hinata asked, and Sasuke put his hand on his chin and thought hard. Let's come up with a code word. If the person who shows up doesn't know the code word, you should think they are the enemy, no matter how they look. Pay close attention. I'll say this only once. When asked about the Nin song, Nin machine, say, a large number of loud enemies is the friend of the shinobi. Hide and remain silent. A shinobi must know when to strike, when the enemy is tired and not ready. Naruto and Hinata both nodded and told him they had learned it by heart. In reality, just say we don't have time for code words, Sasuke said quietly as he and the others stood up. I'll hold the scroll, he said louder. As they were about to leave, Naruto stopped and looked to the east with a serious look on his face. Sasuke gave him a quick glance. Why are you sad, Naruto? Naruto narrowed his eyes and stared hard into the darkness of the forest for a while before heaving a sigh, shaking his head, and saying, it's nothing. I guess it was just my imagination. Naruto's eyes grew wide when a gust of wind cut his cheek. It's a Fuden jutsu. Get down, he yelled as he rushed his team and pushed them into the bushes. Just then, a huge gust of wind blew through the clearing and sent Naruto flying. As the blast died down, Sasuke, who was trying to find the enemy while lying in the bushes with Hinata, sighed and said, thanks, Naruto. When they looked around and didn't see anyone, they stood up. Hinata used her Byakugan to look around, nudging Sasuke and pointing in the direction Naruto had been thrown by the blast. When they both looked, they saw Naruto coming toward them. Naruto muttered, damn, that one hurt, as he walked up to them and rubbed his head. If I find out who did that, I'll show him a whole new world of pain. Hinata said softly, Naruto-kun, as she and Sasuke got into a fighting stance. The magic word. I know, Naruto said with a nod. A lot of loud enemies is a shinobi's best friend. Hide and remain silent. A shinobi must know when to strike, when the enemy is tired and not ready. Sasuke laughed at that, and then threw his kunai at Naruto without warning. Naruto went wide-eyed and dodged. What the hell are you doing, you fool? Naruto growled and narrowed his eyes. So it's someone who can get out of my way. Naruto smiled, and then a woman's voice came from the smoke. It's impressive that you knew. When the smoke cleared, they saw a Kusa ninja with a straw hat standing where Naruto had been. How did you know I was a fake? Naruto could tell how much chakra you had from a mile away, Sasuke said with a smirk. There was no way he couldn't sense you when you were so close to us. We knew you were listening, so even though we said the code word was Nin song, it was actually something else. As he took off his straw hat, the man laughed. I see we're neither tired nor not ready, right? He asked with a smirk. This is going to be more fun than I thought. In another part of the forest, Naruto was sitting on the ground and panting. His forearms were cut, and his shirt and legs were torn in some places. In front of him, the ground was completely torn up, and so were a few wooden walls. That was a strong jutsu, he said under his breath. Even though I blocked it with my Mokudan, it still cut me. Naruto stood up and looked at the damage the jutsu had done. But that wasn't something a genin could do. Hell, most of my jutsu aren't even that strong, he said. His surroundings got darker, and when he looked down at the ground, he saw a big shadow above him. When he looked up, he saw the biggest snake he'd ever seen staring down at him. He stared into its eyes and went wide-eyed when the snake's tail came flying at him. Naruto jumped into the air and yelled something that sounded like, Hufflerger Berber. just in time for the force of the tail hit to make the ground almost explode. The snake coiled up and jumped at Naruto with its mouth wide open, ready to eat him. Naruto couldn't dodge in the air, so he growled and made a serpent seal. His cheeks puffed up, and he smiled. He thought, "Take this," as he shot a high-pressure jet of water out of his mouth. The water cut the snake right down the middle, causing it to split, and Naruto, who landed gracefully, was spared. Naruto's eyes grew wide when he suddenly felt a huge amount of killing intent coming from where Team 7 had been before the jutsu hit them. What is this huge ki? He thought as he looked down at his hand, which was shaking violently. Even from this far away, this is 20 times worse than Zabuza and Kakashi put together. When Sasuke and Hinata looked into the eyes of the scary Kusa ninja, they both saw something that looked like their own deaths, which made Sasuke throw up. Sasuke stared at the Kusa ninja with wide eyes. Genjutsu, he thought. And no. This is just fear. The killing intent in his eyes is making us see an image of death. Who is this guy? Hinata. Sasuke looked at his teammate and saw that she was crying and shaking violently. This is bad. We have to run. If we don't, there's only death. The Kusa ninja laughed and said, "You can no longer move." Sasuke held the kunai tightly in his hand as he shook with fear. "No, I can't." His arm moved a little, and he looked down at his hand. Move, 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 move. The Kusa ninja smiled as he held up 2 kunai and flicked them at the 2 genin, which made Sasuke open his eyes wide. Damn it! Move! Suddenly, Sasuke stabbed the kunai into his thigh and rushed at Hinata to get her out of the way of the kunai's path before jumping off and hiding in the trees. The Kusa ninja walked over to the blood splatter from the stabbing and looked at it with mild interest before smirking and looking up into the trees. To hurt himself to get rid of the feeling of fear with pain, I thought, this is no ordinary prey. At the same time, Sasuke and Hinata were sitting in a big tree while Sasuke groaned and pulled the kunai out of his thigh. Hinata asked, "Sasuke-kun, are you all ready?" But Sasuke covered her mouth and looked down at the forest floor. "We have to run before they find us again," he thought, still shaking with fear. "But how? How can we get away?" Hinata stared at Sasuke in shock. For Sasuke-kun to panic this much, she thought. I've never seen him like this. Suddenly, she noticed something and tried to say something, but Sasuke still had his hand over her mouth. She took it off and said, "Sasuke-kun. Snake." When Sasuke turned around, he saw a huge snake coming down toward him and his friend. They both jumped away, and the snake aimed for Sasuke. Damn it. I was freaking out so much that I didn't see the snake, thought Sasuke as the snake wrapped itself around the tree branch and then shot toward him. When Sasuke looked into the snake's eyes, he saw the same killer intent as before. He let out a scared cry and threw 8 shuriken with incredible force at the snake's open mouth. The shuriken tore through the snake's head, stopping it in its tracks. It fell and hit a tree branch, covering it in blood. Sasuke and Hinata's eyes grew wide when the scales on the snake were torn off and a person climbed out of it. It was the Kusa ninja. When a predator is around, prey should always do their best to get away. He trailed off as his tongue came out of his mouth and licked his lips. But the Kusa ninja's legs were rubbery and stretched out like a snake's. He wrapped around the branch Sasuke had landed on and charged the uchiha, but stopped when a kunai pierced the branch and an explosive note hung from the ring. What? The note blew up, sending the Kusa ninja flying, and Sasuke let out a sigh of relief. Naruto, he muttered. Naruto, don't play the hero. He's not like other people. Tech, Naruto said from his left, making him turn his head to see Naruto standing there. Look at you, Naruto said. Too scared even to notice me coming. So, you got past my snake, Naruto-kun? The Kusa-nin asked, standing on the forest floor and looking up at them. Naruto squatted and looked down at the ninja with his elbows on his knees. Sasuke, he said in a quiet voice, if we run, this guy will kill us one by one. Right here is where we have to fight. We have to do everything we can. Don't be such a fool. You, of all people, should know how I feel, Sasuke barked. Naruto suddenly jumped up, grabbed Sasuke by the collar, and hit him. Hey, you friggin' moron, get it together. You're acting like such a baby. Sasuke's eyes were wide with shock, still reeling from the shock of getting slapped. He could handle being punched, kicked, and even stabbed, but slapped. He blinked owlishly a couple of times, then smiled softly. Gotta give Naruto credit. He has no common sense at all. But in this situation, common sense would probably just get in the way. Thanks, Naruto. As soon as Sasuke's Sharingan turned on, he turned his head to look down at the Kusanin with a smirk on his face. Alright, you moron. Once, we'll do it your way. Another slap sounded, and everyone could see a wide-eyed Sasuke reeling from yet another slap to the face. The hell are you doing? Sasuke barked angrily, but Naruto grinned. Well, I had you in this position, I just couldn't resist. Sasuke twitched. Damn, Naruto can blow the fear out of any situation, he thought, sighing. Then, he looked at Hinata, who was standing some distance away, looking unsure what to do. Hinata, you're our backup and support. If one of us gets injured, get right to healing it, alright? Alright, Sasuke-kun. Hinata said, nodding. So, what have you got? Naruto asked as he let go of Sasuke and looked down at the Kusanin again. Sasuke closed his eyes and gathered his thoughts for a second. It was obvious that the Kusanin was just toying with them, or he would have attacked a long time ago. What was his game? He's got intense chakra. He can manipulate it well, given that powerful Fudan ninjutsu he used, and that freaky stretch thing he does with his body and tongue. Not to mention he managed to swallow his freaking earth scroll. And he can summon, Naruto supplied. Since he could summon a freakishly large snake and sick it on me, there's a good chance he can summon more. A guy that well trained in ninjutsu and chakra manipulation, chances are he's just as good at genjutsu, which would probably make taijutsu his weak point, hopefully, unless he's well rounded enough to be good at that, too, Sasuke concluded, which made the Kusanin chuckle creepily. An apt analysis, and a correct one, he said, smirking up at them. Although taijutsu is my weakest point, I'm by no means a slouch, and it would be foolish of you to assume such a thing. Now that you have mustered your courage, I expect you to give this your all. Triple rodeo, you think? Naruto asked, to which Sasuke nodded. In this setting, definitely. Naruto grinned and formed a serpent seal. Suddenly, wooden spikes shot out of the ground under the Kusanin, forcing him to jump up onto the trunk of a tree behind him. So, the rumors are true. Mokuden ninjutsu. More spikes shot out of the tree the Kusanin was standing on, making him jump off again. In the air, he noticed Sasuke above him, finishing a chain of hand seals in a tiger seal. Kaden. Ryuka no Jutsu, Fire Element. Dragon Fire Technique. Sasuke called out as he brought his hand to his mouth and blew a stream of fire at the Kusanin, whose eyes widened as the flame burned hot enough to turn white. The fire impacted with the ninja and smashed him down into the forest floor, whereupon he was impaled by 6 wooden spikes, only to disappear in a poof of smoke. Cage Bunshin. Sasuke growled out through gritted teeth as he landed on a tree branch, looking around. So, where's the real one? Sasuke. Above you. Naruto yelled out, and Sasuke's eyes widened. Before he even looked up, he was already flashing through hand seals. Kaden. Ryuka no Jutsu. He called out as he leaned his head back and saw the Kusanin diving at him. He blew another stream of white-hot flames at him, but the ninja was prepared for it, yanking a ninja wire in his hand and pulling him out of the way of the fire. What the Kusanin didn't count on, however, was that as he flew through the air, Naruto appeared above him, his fist cocked back. Eat shit. Naruto roared as he drove his hand into the Kusanin's chest, sending him rocketing down into the ground. A crater formed when the Kusanin landed, kicking up a large cloud of dust. However, when it cleared, the Kusanin slowly rose to his feet, chuckling softly. I see, that was quite a powerful attack. You gather as much chakra in your fist as possible, and you release it outward as soon as your fist hits the target, much like the venerable Tsunade Heim. With your chakra stores, I would have thought it impossible to reach such chakra control at your age. Naruto and Sasuke landed in front of the Kusanin, staring coldly at him. Naruto went through some hand seals, and more wood shot from the ground, trying to ensnare him, but he jumped out of the way. This kid, the Kusanin thought, staring at Naruto. Could he be the Kyuubi brat? He certainly looks like Minato-kun and Kushina. Well, if that's the case, I can put a stop to his massive attack power by disrupting his chakra flow. For that, I need to get closer. The Kusa-nin dodged yet another wooden spike, and found that Sasuke had taken this moment to close the distance between them, swiping furiously at him with his sword. These brats are wearing chakra weights, and yet they still possess this much speed and strength, the Kusa-nin thought as he dodged slash after slash, a smirk appearing on his face. What monsters! I shudder to think of what kind of ninja they will become, given a few years to grow. The Kusa-nin went wide-eyed as his back thumped against a tree trunk, and several wooden poles shot out of it, wrapping around him. I got you now! Sasuke exclaimed, slashing his sword and swiping it clean through the Kusa-nin's neck and the tree behind him, only for this one to also disappear in a puff of smoke. The real Kusa-nin shot out of a bush, heading straight for Naruto. His tongue came out of his mouth, stretching to many times its original length and wrapping around a visibly surprised Naruto. What the hell? Naruto growled out as the tongue, tightly wrapped around him, reached down and pulled up his shirt, exposing the seal on his stomach. Oh, the seal is clearly visible. The Kusa-nin asked, tilting his head to the side as he went through a few hand seals. Then, each finger on his right hand lit up with a purple energy, and he slammed his hand into Naruto's stomach with a cry of, Gogyu Fuin 5 Elements Seal. He was greatly surprised when his hand just passed straight through Naruto, and the blonde slowly vanished from view. His eyes widened in shock. What's this? This wasn't a bunshin, and a kage bunshin doesn't vanish like that. What? Slowly, the surprised look vanished from his face as his tongue retreated back into his mouth, which curved into a smirk. I see, so that's the triple rodeo. He asked out loud as he placed his hands in a ram seal and called out, Kai, release. The surroundings changed to show that he was once more back in the crater, and Naruto was in front of him, coming at him with a punch, and behind him was Sasuke, making to stab him in the back. The Kusa-nin twisted his body out of the path of the sword, touching it with his hand to change its path, doing the same with Naruto's fist. The two genin were greatly surprised when they found their attacks directed at their friend, and they only managed to redirect them at the last second. Sasuke's blade cut deeply into Naruto's side, but nothing fatal, while Naruto's blow grazed Sasuke's cheek, which in itself packed enough power that he felt a crack open up in his cheekbone. The two genin stood there in a shocked clinch of sorts, their eyes wide in shock. Impossible, Naruto muttered. Without his Sharingan, not even Kakashi can see through that until it's too late, Sasuke muttered as they broke their clinch, Naruto holding his side and Sasuke feeling his cheek swelling up. They turned toward the Kusa-nin, who was smirking at them both. You come at the target with a barrage of ninjutsu and taijutsu attacks when the target is sufficiently distracted. Naruto-kun takes their attention off you with his Mokuden ninjutsu, while you weave a genjutsu around the target, convincing him that he's still fighting, while in actuality he is standing quite still, allowing the two of you to come in for the killing blow, the Kusa-nin said and raised his hands. Naruto and Sasuke tensed, but were surprised when the ninja just started applauding slowly. Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, you are both exceptional shinobi. I applaud your strength, however, I am afraid we will have to stop playing now. He put his hands in a strange seal, and his neck suddenly extended, his head shooting forward at an amazing speed and biting down on Sasuke's neck, making him cry out in pain and collapse to his knees, clutching at the bit. What is this? He growled out, grunting in pain. Sasuke. Naruto called out in concern, kneeling next to his friend, while the Kusa-nin's neck started bulging, and he opened his mouth to show an earth scroll coming out of his mouth. He took it and placed it on the ground. This scroll, that mark presents for managing to amuse me, the Kusa-nin said as he started sinking into the ground. I am Orochimaru. If you want power, come seek me out. Sasuke clutched at his shoulder tighter and cried out again, louder this time. Hinata landed softly behind them, her eyes wide in concern. Please, lay him on the ground. I'll treat him right away. Naruto struggled to take Sasuke's shirt off and lay him face down on the ground so that the bite mark was clearly visible. This isn't a wound. Naruto exclaimed, his eyes widening upon seeing the three tomos on the back of Sasuke's shoulder. This is a seal. A seal? Hinata asked, her eyes widening as well. What do we do, Naruto-kun? Treat his cheekbone. I must have fractured it, Naruto muttered, placing his finger against the seal and closing his eyes. Damn it. This thing is filling him up with that freak's vile chakra. I'm not very advanced in Fuinjutsu yet, but Naruto gritted his teeth and took out a kunai, slicing open his palm and allowing the blood to run down to the tip of his fingers, whereupon he started writing seals around that vile-smelling seal that Orochimaru guy put on Sasuke. Once he was done, he started flashing through seals faster than ever before. Fuinjutsu. Doku Fujikome, sealing technique, poison containment. He called out as he pressed his hand against the seal, watching as the seals he had drawn started glowing and crawled across Sasuke's skin to form a circle around the seal. Sasuke grunted with pain again as Hinata put an ointment on his swollen cheek. Naruto, what did you do? He grunted out through gritted teeth. I made this seal a couple of weeks ago, Naruto panted out. That seal was incomplete, and had drained him. I originally made it to contain poisons in case one of us got hurt by a poisoned weapon, however, I made some adjustments to it as I applied it. It should keep that vile chakra at bay for a while, well, hopefully at least until we get to the tower. The Gigi should know something better. I've done all I can for the fracture, Hinata mumbled as Naruto helped Sasuke sit up, clutching at his shoulder. The ointment will first work on the external injuries, and then work its way into the bone, mending it. Thanks, Hinata, Sasuke mumbled softly as Naruto got up and walked over to the scroll, picking it up. Now, take care of Naruto. Naruto-kun. I'm fine, Naruto said. Don't be a moron. I cut you deep. And even if I hadn't, you still got hurt by that Fuden ninjutsu from earlier, right? Sasuke snapped, glaring at Naruto, who huffed and looked away. I know why you're acting tough. You want to make sure I'm alright first. However, Naruto, I also want to make sure you're alright. You've done all you can for me. Now let Hinata take care of your damn wounds. Naruto huffed again, but came over and sat down nonetheless, taking off his shirt. The plate armor underneath was deeply scratched, but hadn't let any of the wind cut through. The same couldn't be said for his shoulders, arms, or his side, though. Well, in all fairness, the wound in his side was from Sasuke's sword. Naruto took off his mesh shirt, and Hinata, her eyes wide with worry, immediately got to work treating his injuries. Who was that freak? Naruto muttered, narrowing his eyes at the spot where that Orochimaru guy had sank into the ground. Orochimaru, did he say? What a weird-ass name. Oro. Sasuke mumbled, having been in too much pain to register the name when the man introduced himself. Orochimaru. You know him? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow, and Sasuke nodded, his eyes wide. I've heard that name before, Hinata mumbled. Oh, Orochimaru, isn't he one of the legendary Sannin? Sannin. Naruto repeated, his eyes widening as well. That Orochimaru. So he was toying with us, Sasuke muttered. That guy, he could have killed us in the blink of an eye if he wanted to. And here we were, thinking we were great, big, powerful badasses, Naruto muttered, gritting his teeth. Turns out there are bigger badasses than us out there.
I will continue the story next part. Till then, we weeb offline.